Hey, what's up, guys? So I decided it was a good idea for me to start kind of like storytelling a little bit. Wow, the shadow is crazy. Um, I guess my new name's Shadow Man. I don't know. It looks cool. Um, this was kind of like a request from my buddy Austin. But I do have an arsenal of stories of my own. But this particular story time is not from the streets and using. These are stories from rehab, and ooh yeah, they're a little wild. Because I mean, for those of you that have been to rehabs, most of us leave those memories behind. You know, the bad ones, or almost all of them. You know what I mean? Besides the lesson that you learn from rehab, you leave with. But oh man, out of the times I went to different rehabs, we'll start with. I'm not going to name the rehabs, I guess for privacy reasons. I'm not sure if I can really do that, but I'm going to start with the one that I mentioned in the past about how I wanted to sue them because of them withholding my Zoloft that I was on and my gabapentin for my sciatica because I had gotten kicked in the leg so many times throughout my life and just whatever. I don't take those anymore. But at the time, I was over a year and some change on these medications. Isn't you all know you're not supposed to stop taking SSRIs or even SSNRIs, SSNRIs, SNRIs. But so I got ripped off of them, and I crashed. As a lot of you might know, how it feels to crash from SSRIs. It's not fun. Brain zaps, all that. I'm not going to go off point, but so it was my, well, I guess technically second day in there because it was the middle of the night. Um, I started hearing, I was, mind you, these beds had plastic on them. They had plastic on the mattresses, plastic on the pillow. Penny, what are you doing, baby? Daddy's making a video. Go lay down real quick. Um, it was like in the middle of the night. I think it might have been like 1:45. It was after, when you go to detox the first night. Penny, watch out. Penny, go lay down for a minute. Daddy's making a video, baby. Oh, they always do this to me. So, they wake you up at like 1 in the morning or whatever for your second dose because when you want to be a part of this too. Look, look, what's that? Is that you? Penny, move out of the way. Move, 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 move. Lay down right here. So they woke me up at 1 in the morning. Whatever. They woke me up at 1 in the morning, and I remember it wasn't my room; it was the room next to mine. So I start hearing like a scream, and I'm like, "Uh oh, maybe you're distracting me, baby." Oh, can't help it. So it was the room next to mine, and oh, Maron, I heard this screaming, and I heard like a boom. So I'm like, "The hell was that?" Like the nurse didn't even have to wake me up. That woke me up before the nurse could wake me up from my meds. So I'm like, I step out of my room and I'm like, what's going on? I'm squinting. I'm like, the hell is this? I see the techs and the nurses pretty much dragging this guy out of his room because I guess like his family dropped him off there and he had his phone, I think, in his wallet because he kept yelling like, my phone and my wallet's here. Y'all are not holding my stuff for 72 hours if I leave. I'm like, dude, this guy just got here. Like, he's not even withdrawing yet. Like, he just got there. He was like stoned when he got there. So I'm like, he's not withdrawing yet. Like, what the hell is wrong with this guy? Unfortunately, I believe he had some type of mental disability. He had some type of mental illness. I didn't see him long enough or get to know him because that was his last night there, his last time there, and he was in scrubs still, so he was fresh in there, and they pull him out of the room. I remember like they pull him out and like they're holding him, his arms behind him because he's getting violent. I think it was within like not even 15, 20 minutes after the sheriffs come in, and I'm like, uh-oh, this is no good. So the sheriffs walk in, and this guy is in the hallway, like pacing back and forth, back and forth. And the sheriff, there was one sheriff next to him, the other was talking to the nurse in the nurse's station, and I'm out there waiting for my medication. So I'm like, oh, I don't really fear anything. So I'm sitting next to this guy, just like looking like, and I kind of like lipped it to him, like what's wrong? And he looks at me and goes, "Yo, I've been here. I've been here all but 10 hours, and my last. That's why I said he had a mental illness. I don't know what it was, but he was like my last medication that I had. I was supposed to get when I got here. That's supposed to stop my episodes, and these dumbass nurses. Excuse my language. He said these dumbass nurses are not giving me my medication, and I'm going crazy. Like I feel like like I was manic yesterday, and I knew today was going to be, my break day, like my big breakdown. And he's like, I told the nurses that. He's like, they don't give a f and all this, and I'm like. I was like, why wouldn't they give it to you? He's like, because it wasn't my scheduled med time. I said, yeah, but if you're a psych patient and you need those medications, you know what I mean? They should have given them. Sad noise. Hold on 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. So talking to the guy and tells me about how they didn't give him his meds or whatever, and that he was manic the day before, so comes after mania, an episode. So I kind of figured out what was going on with him, and man, oh man, the guard next to him. I remember the guard, the sheriff, puts his arm on his shoulder while he's in the midst of talking to me. He goes, "Don't touch me, bro. Don't touch me, bro." And I'm just sitting there. I'm like, oh. And this guy was from Newark. Uh, so he was, and we were down south, so far away from home. I don't know what he was there for, law-related reasons. I think that's why the sheriff showed up, because he was there for, you know, maybe drug court. I don't know. I don't know. But he found some solace in talking to me because like I have a really dark mind, and I can see like I can understand people that, you know what I mean, have these thoughts and these you know there's, like I told my boy Austin, there's no human terminology to describe exactly how these things feel inside, because there's really no, it's not made to be described, it's made to be felt by the one individual human. So I talked to him to a point where he was like, yeah man, he's like, you get it, like, you get me bro, you get me bro. Story is not over yet. So the sheriff's like, we're gonna give you one more chance. You know what I mean? Like, we're gonna get there. They're gonna give him one more chance. So he's like, "Oh, I'll take the other chance. I don't got no choice." And after I was talking to him, I was like, "Dude, just," I said, "suppress it for at least until he gets out of the nurse's office." I said, "Just be calm. Don't freak out anymore." Okay, okay. I'm like, all right, good. So I'm sitting next to him too, and the cop was like, he's like, "Oh, can you just sit here with him with me so he doesn't, like lash out?" And I said, "Yeah, sure, sure, no problem." And I'm next to him. We're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting, we're waiting. And the other sheriff comes out. I'm not gonna say his name. They said his name. Called him into the nurse's office. He goes in. I'm outside, and I'm like closing my eyes. I'm like, please don't self-destruct. Like, I don't want to start hearing crashing and all this stuff thrown around. You know what I mean? Like, I'm expecting that kind of like. Well, I think it was like not 2, 3 minutes in. I hear him saying this mother, and he starts getting it. He goes, "Where's that white guy that was out there with me? I want him in the nurse's office with me." And they looked at the camera, I guess, and they said, "Who, Dan?" Uh, and they were like, they asked the police officer, the sheriff, like, "Is it okay if he comes in?" And the sheriff's like, "As long as my partner comes in with me." Okay. So I'm thinking, HIPAA reasons and all this stuff. I'm like, are they really gonna let me in? Yeah, they let me in there. I'm like, okay. So I'm sitting next to him, and he goes, "This is the only motherfucker that understands what I'm going through. I ain't even have to tell him." He's like, "I just told him about my medication, how y'all weren't giving me my meds." And the nurse was like, "Well, we're gonna give you your medication right now. They're like, it's fast acting, it will work and calm you down quick." I think they probably gave him Ativan or something, and I have no idea. An antipsychotic, I would assume. So he takes his medication, right? Spits it out at the nurse's face. Then decides to start saying, "I don't want to be on medication anymore, because when I do, everything slows down." And I'm like, yeah, it was like, because if they don't slow down, your mood cannot be trusted, even by your own self. I'm thinking, and the nurse looks at him and then looks at me and goes, "Dan, can you tell him to please take his meds?" And I'm like, this ain't happening right now. I'm thinking to myself, I said, how many, I said to, first thing I said to the guy was, "How many times have you taken this medication throughout your life?" He goes, "Thousands." I said, "Why can't you just take it right now?" He goes, "Because I don't want to be in this place. They got me forced up in this MFR and all this." And I'm like, "You got to take it, man." I said, "Just take it so you could at least calm the hell down for right now." I said, I said, "If you're not doing it for me or for the nurses," I said, "if you're not doing it for yourself or your family or to prevent you from getting locked up," I said, "just do it for me. Just take your medication." They give him the 2 pills again. He swallows it. Cops legally have to sit there with him until he is considered safe enough to be around other people. So I end up being his partner insanity. Not insane insanity. In space sanity. Like, I was his sanity partner. So they cleared him, right? We go out to you know, the living room where everybody's at, detoxing and TV, pool. No, 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 no. We didn't have any of that there. I'm sorry. This was the place down south. We didn't have that. We had, it looked like in the 90s when we had those old torn up carpets and that were like from the 80s, still in the 90s. Like, we had all that, and like, it was disgusting. I don't even blame the guy for freaking out. The place was terrible. So we're in the little living area where there's like this little TV, which is like one of those old school flat screens that were still kind of thick, but like they were plasma screen TVs. And it's mounted on the wall. I remember it was weird because those aren't supposed to be mounted. And I remember he starts like pointing at things. Like, he's pointing at like things that are like off, I guess. Like, this is not like leveled and this, that. And I ask him, I'm like, "What do you do for work or whatever?" He's like, "Construction." I'm like, "Oh, that explains why, you're seeing all the," yeah, I was like, "I do HVAC." I was like, "I did that for my whole life." But I was like, "I see what you're talking about in terms of what's," but I'm trying to really keep this guy from, and I don't fear that. Like, I didn't fear him at all. I mean, I was like, if he put his hands on me, I was like, I'd tear his ass up. Like, I was not afraid of him, regardless of how psychotic he got, because I can get freaking dark too. And I was like, don't push me over the limit. And this guy's like, I remember he goes, "That TV's bothering me," and I'm like, "It's the only TV we have." And I looked him dead in the eye. I said, "Look, if you're gonna have a freak out and you're gonna rip that thing off the wall right now," I said, "don't do it." He's like, "You don't think I should?" I said, "See, I knew you were thinking about it." He was like, "How'd you know I was thinking about that?" I said, "I just knew." And he was like, He's like, well, if they don't sorry, he's like, if they don't fix that TV, there's going to be some problems. And I'm like, I'm not babysitting this guy. My withdrawal has not even started yet, and I'm not going to sit here in my head. I'm thinking, babysitting this guy all freaking night. So it was like, I mean, I stayed up all night with this guy. All night with this guy. So sun starts to rise, right? The sun starts to rise. I could have slept. Like, I was mad because I was like, the first couple nights we usually sleep, and then we don't sleep. And he was coming off meth. I think it was meth, ketamine, benzos, but like not like a milligram a night Xanax, like not like that. I'm talking like 8 bars a day. I'm talking like 16 milligrams of alprazolam a day. That is like 1 milligram. Like the withdrawal can suck a little. You could taper yourself off that. You know what I mean? That this guy was on like 16 milligrams of alprazolam a day and not prescribed. He was apparently he said he was prescribed lorazepam. So, but he was copping Xanax. And I think they had fentanyl in him because they were talking about putting him on Suboxone, and so he complains about the TV, and I told him like, please just don't do that right now. Like it's not. I was like, it's morning. Breakfast is going to come out in an hour and a half. I was like, just don't even, you might as well just deal with it for right now. It's like, all right, whatever, bro. Like, I'll put up with it for not that much, but for not that much longer. And I'm like, you're supposed to be here for 30 days, bro. I was like, what's not much longer? And well, right as breakfast is getting rolled in, like it was just getting rolled on the cart because they bring him, to the detox ward. He gets up, he looks at what's for breakfast, and he sees that it's the most disgusting food. Um, There's like a sausage patty, a biscuit, and these disgusting scrambled eggs. Like I didn't even eat them. I just ate yogurt. That was it. He was like, "What is this BS? Like my mom didn't cook this. I don't want it." I'm like, "Oh, he's a mama's boy." I was like, "Oh." So this is where he unleashes. Like this, they actually gave him another chance even after this. Swipes all the breakfast off the freaking thing, and all these other guys are in there. Yo, yo, yo! They all got up like, "Yo, we're all in the same boat here. Like, what are you doing? Like, what?" He's like, "I'll kill all y'all. Like, don't even fuck with me." Blah blah blah. So the nurses call him into the station. He goes, I didn't go in there with him. I think they gave him like some type of like booty juice in a pill, and he just like went to sleep. Gets back up like hours later. It was like it must have been close to lunchtime. And he comes out of his room, I remember, and he's like rubbing his eyes. What time is it? He looks at me. Who are you? I said, this guy does not have amnesia. So what the hell did they give him? Or is this? So he starts talking to me again, and we had to redevelop another like I had to like go over again what I did the previous night just to get him on my good side again. And I knew some of the same people that he knew from Newark, so like we knew the same people from Newark. So like I kind of like he felt comfortable when I brought that up, and I had to break through it real quickly to get on his good side. Right when we get into the living area, he starts talking about the TV again. This dude gets up in the middle of a freaking meeting. He gets up, goes because the TV, like the how like if you don't use your TV for like a while, like some type of like a I don't know like a loading screen comes up, or it said something like cannot connect to server. They were using the laptop and stuff to like hook up to the HDMI to put it on or whatever, and he's looking at the TV. He's like, "Yo, that TV ain't right, bro. Like that TV ain't right." And I'm like looking at. Here he goes with the TV again. Gets up. I shit you not. Right through the chair. We had metal chairs in the living room. Like there were no couches here. Walks right through the chairs, almost like a WWE wrestler walking to the ring. Walks right through the chairs. The H and I, or the it wasn't H and I. It was just a this chick was talking, and she gets pulled out of the way by one of the texts. Like pulls her out of the way. This guy goes up to the TV and rips it right off the wall, smashes it onto the floor, starts stomping on it, gets one of the steel chairs, which I don't know why they allowed those kind of chairs, but the fold up ones. Well, he got a steel chair. He ends up like folding it up and using like the top, like the where your back rests on, and he starts like jamming it in. I mean, there's nothing left of this TV. It was like from The Office when they destroyed the fax machine, like tore it to freaking pieces. And the sheriffs got called in, and dude got hauled out. You know what I mean? So that was the first story there, and this next little story was in the same exact facility. Two like 2 days later. So we're in a meeting. We were in an HNI meeting. It was at nighttime, and we got a new guy come in, and he's. I mean, I don't know where he was from. I think he was from South Jersey because the dude was freaking weird, and I don't know. I don't know. He had dreads. He was like white guy, dreads, tatted up, and he's probably like in his 40s. You know what I mean? So I'm thinking, he's not like a. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Um, so yeah, he's in his 40s, and he comes in, and he's in scrubs. So we're in a meeting, and this was like early afternoon. We're in a meeting, and I see this guy get, walked in scrubs. He's got, I think, wearing green scrubs. Gets walked in, and first thing he says, I remember, is, "Where's the laundry room?" And one of the techs was like, "It's right over there, but you can't enter unless, you know, a tech is with you, and you have to go by the laundry times. But you haven't even gotten your clothes zapped yet." They're like, so, they always zap them for bed bugs. I don't know why, because the place was so dirty as is. But like, he get a little agitated about it. Now this place was like not like women and men obviously can't stay in the same room, but it was weird because like across like my roommate, I always have like an Irish drunk 45 to 50-year-old man as my roommate. I always have it. I'm cool with that because they sleep through the whole thing with the Librium. They don't even really feel their freaking withdrawals when they give them the high doses of the Librium. They're good. They're sleeping. Me, you know how it is with the opioids, and I think at the time it was benzos because I was trying to come off opioids at home, and ended up taking too many benzos and had withdrawal a little bit from that. So this guy was a heroin addict, fentanyl addict. He had a lot of that xylazine. I mean, this guy had holes in his legs, his arms, his neck was starting to look necrotic everywhere. Like I was like, oh my god, man. So me and him were conversing and talking a bit after the whole laundry thing. And he seemed really calm. I mean, calmest guy in the world. Like I've never seen somebody so calm. I asked him, what are you coming off of? He's like, no, fentanyl. I think I got the trank in me, and pop a few Zans here and there, but nothing crazy. He's like, I don't drink. He's like, I do a little ecstasy here and then. And I'm like, all right, okay. So pretty much me and you were here for almost the same thing. I was like, whatever. So, like, I don't do ecstasy. So I was just, okay, the opiates thing. Okay, cool. And he's like, yeah, where you from? We started talking, whatever. So he sees this, I guess one of the MAs walked out, one of the medical assistants walked out. And I knew her, you know what I mean? Like, I knew her from being there. and she was very, very sweet, very, very sweet, such a nice girl. And like I said, anyway, women like across from my room, there's two women in the next room right across the hall, like right there, like I can spit that far, like you know, there's one wing with guys on this side, girls on this side, but it was in the same hallway, so he ends up being in the room next to me, not my roommate, but the room next to me. Go figure. Anyway, this MA walks out, and he was like, "Damn, oh, like you're fine," and I was like, "Oh man, this guy's got to be rude like this. Like I don't want to deal with a guy that talks to women like this." And I'm thinking that in my head, and I was like, "What?" I looked at him, I was like, "What?" He was like, "She fine, ain't she?" I was like, "She's a sweetheart, man." I was like, "She'll take care of you, bro." He's like, "Yeah, she'll take care of me, man." He's like, He started saying all this just creepy, you know what I mean? And immediately, that's a red flag for me. So I'm like, this guy's got a red flag on his head, in my opinion. So we're chilling, and the girls that live across the, not live, they were in the room across, from mine. They come up to me in the living area, and they're like, "Oh, hey Dan, who's this guy?" And I said his name. His name was Gary, but I don't know him like that. So he was like, "Nah, nice to meet you. I'm G. People call me G. GW. His last name must have started with a W. I don't know." And they're like, "Oh, nice to meet you." So the girl shakes his hand, and he doesn't let go of her hand, right? So I'm looking at him. I'm like, "You're gonna let go of her hand, right?" And he was like, "Bro, she's got the nicest looking eyes." And he's looking her dead in the eyes, and then he slowly turns his head at me and goes, and I'm like, "Nah, dude." I said, "Please just take your hand away from her, bro." I was like, "She's gonna get all uncomfortable." I was like, "You don't want a scene in here, bro. Trust me." It's like the sheriffs will come in here. The department's like right there. I was like, "You don't want that." He's like, "I'm gonna damn about the sheriffs and all this stuff." And she's like, "Yes." She's like, "Oh, nice to meet you." She's like, "I have to go." And then she was like, "Who's your friend next to you?" And they were both walking away. And she's like, "I'm not telling you my name." I guess they immediately got like the vibe, like, they're creeped out or whatever. So he's like, "Yo, what's wrong with these bitches, bro?" And I'm like, "Well," I was like, "There's not much wrong with them." I was like, "They're going through similar stuff that we are." I was like, you know what I mean? I was like, "They're women." I was like, "It's the only difference." I said, "Other than their hormones might react differently than ours." So I was like, "They're women." And he was like, "Bro, yo, we live on the same floor as them." And immediately in my head, I'm like, I'm not a snitch. Like, I don't do that. I'm not even a dry snitch. Like, I don't affiliate with any of that. But for the protection of these women, I was like, this guy needs to be watched. So I went to one of the women techs, and also the LPN, because she's like, like top, in terms of medication. And I let them know. I was like, "Look, I'll tell you ahead of time." I said, "This guy that got brought in or whatever in the afternoon," I said, he's creeping these women out. I was like, they're not my roommates, but they live across from me. I said he was like holding their hand, he wouldn't let go, and the girl's hand got sweaty, she got nervous, and he was saying some creepy stuff. I said, "So just keep an eye on him." And they were like, "You too." And I was like, "Oh, trust me, I got my eye on him." I was like, "If he puts his hand on one of these women, I'm choking him out." And they were like, "Don't do that. We don't want to lose you now." And I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Yeah, but you guys already, like, they were already on my crap list because, like, not giving me my the medication that I needed, and I hadn't yet crashed yet. Like, that kind of happened later that day. I started to crash, um, but that night comes and dinner. The men and the women, we eat separately, like within like a half hour difference. So we eat, and then we're going back to detox, and then the women, go eat. They're coming back to because you can go to the cafeteria after a certain point where you don't have to. They do bring in a tray, just a cart just in case. And we're going back to detox, and this freaking Scungili starts to freaking follow me, and I'm like, oh no, don't, like, I'm not your friend, man. Like, mm-mm. Following me, he's like, yo, bro. He's like, there's mad bitches over here, bro. He's like, I'm about to get my on. I was like, not by freaking tomorrow morning. You're gonna be shaking. He's like, what you mean? He's like, I don't go through withdrawals. I don't go. I said, you don't? I was like, oh. I let him just kind of go with his false confidence. All right, you don't go through withdrawals. All right, how long you been using? 34 years. I said, my dude, you've been using for that long. I said, have you detoxed ever? He's like, I've been through a little withdrawal before my connect come back, but he's like, other than that, he's like, nah, it's the first time I'm letting everything out. I'm like, oh God Almighty. So we're walking back, and then I turn around, like I'm at the detox store, and they buzz me in or whatever. I turn around, and the text says, where's he at? I thought he was with you, Dan. I said he was. I said, where'd he go? I look, and then they were like, oh no. So I go with the tech. I was like, can I come with you? He's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. He said, come with me. So we go over back to the cafeteria, and he's like standing like in the doorway. Like he must have stopped walking with me, I guess, and was waiting for the women, like, to go into the cafeteria. And these two other girls, like, I don't even know them. These two other ones, they must have lived like on another wing. Um, I guess he stops them, and he starts talking to them, like, he's trying to look all slick and stuff like that. And I walk up, and he goes, yo, this is my boy right here this is my boy right here, whatever. Talking about me. And the tech was with me, and the tech's like a little guy. And he's like, why'd you bring the 5 O's with you, bro? And I'm like, I didn't. I was like, we all have to go back to detox together. I was just trying to make sure everybody was together. He goes, yeah. He's like, don't ruin my flow, bro. He's like, I'm talking to these hoes. He says hoes. That got me so freaking angry. So I'm like, hoes. I was like, well, do you even know them? He's like, nah, I just met these bitches, and the one blonde chick, look, she goes, hoes, bitches. She's like, what kind of a man are you? She's like, you're grown. She's like, I mean, I'm only a few years younger than you, but she's like, why would you call us that? And I'm like, bro, I was like, just come back to detox, please. I said, this isn't going to work out. I'm like, you're going to drive somebody freaking crazy. I was like, just trust me. I was like, I've been through this before. I said, don't stick around here. I said, just stay the course and stay where you're supposed to be. And he's like, man, what y'all going to kick me out if I don't? I was like, yeah, they're going to kick you out if you don't. He's like, shoot. He's like, I could always just go back to my old life. I'm like, so he's like, all right, whatever, whatever. He starts coming back, like, with me and the tech. This guy's name is Brad, the tech. We're walking back together, and he goes to buzz in the door. Me and the tech did not turn around the whole time. We all assumed he was with us because there was another guy behind us. You know what I mean? There was another guy, but he was from residential. So, and it wasn't him. It wasn't the guy that was supposed to be with us. So where'd he go again? So then we call this big guard. We called him, and he comes out. He's like, "Where is this dude at? Where is this dude at?" We go back to the cafeteria. He's not in the cafeteria. So now we're like, "Yo, the dude's missing." Mind you, this place was so screwed up. Like they had two cameras, one in the front of the building, and they had one in the like right above the door where they let you out, like not even twice a day. Like they had a camera out in the back courtyard area, and that was it. Other than that, there's like no other cameras in this place. So the big guy was like, "This is why we need more cameras. This place is all screwed up, whatever." So I'm like, I was like, I can't really do much. I was like, I got to go back to detox. I was like, I can't go around looking for him with you, basically. And the tech was like, he was like sitting there thinking, like, he's like, I mean, if you're with a tech, you're fine. He's like, I trust you. I know you're not going to do nothing stupid. I was like, no, no. I was like, but if you want me to go back to my room, I was like, I'm fine with that. He's like, he goes, look, we're going to look together, and me and the little guy, and then the big guy went on his own search for him. So we start hearing like this commotion, like it was like a man's voice, another man's voice who had like a lighter voice than him, I remember, and then a female's voice. And we go, it was like right by Resident. This guy managed to sneak into residential. He was in detox. He snuck into residential, yo, and starts like mingling with the women. And I'm like we see him, and the big guy's like, yo, 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 bro, little bro, you can't be over here. He's like, get your ass back to detox. He's like, leave these females alone. They ain't got nothing to do with you, bro. He's like, get, nah. He's like, you better get back there. He's like, y'all got too many rules up in this motherfucker. Which I ain't gonna lie, there were certain rules that were like too like going out twice a day, like smoke breaks twice a day for people that were smoking or whatever, and you know, what I mean, fresh air. The place smelled like all types of cigarettes and stuff like that. And other than that, you know what I mean? It's rehab. It's not going to be fun. So the big guy, like this guy was like a little taller than me. I'm like 5'11". This guy was probably like 6 foot, but the big guy was like 6'4", like 280 or something. Big guy. I actually have trained with the guy before when he came up my way, and we were in the same gym together at a point, Thai boxing, and we hear the commotion or whatever. Like I said, he's over the other side of the door. I can see him through the glass. Like I can see him through the little glass in the door. And I see him talking, and one of the residential guys was like, "You shouldn't be over here." When I got closer, I could hear what was going on. I'm like, he was like, "This is residential. You're in detox. Like you're not supposed to be over here." And the guy was like, "I'm not even detoxing. I'm not. I never withdraw like that." And they're like, yeah, you ain't gonna be saying that tomorrow when you wake up shivering and all that stuff. And the guy's like, oh, this is some BS, some BS. The big guard comes up to him. He went through another door, like they can access like another door. So I saw him walk in, freaking taps the guy on the shoulder and goes, yo, if you don't come back to detox, he's like, I am tossing you out of this building myself. He's like, the cops, we're going to call them and they're going to come get you, but they're going to arrest you on the outside. He's like, you cannot be in this place harassing females like this anymore. And the guy's like, yo, man, he's like, you going to have to fight me if you're going to throw me out, bro. And I'm like, bro, you're really going to sit there and stand to this 6'4" guy who is a martial artist that I know of, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking to myself, this guy's got some balls, dude. Like, so I'm looking through the door, me and the short tech, like we're looking through, and the short guy's like, oh, this is not going to be good. He's like, I can see it right now. I can see it right now. I was like, he's going to swing, isn't he? He's like, yeah, dude. He's like, if anybody swings on the big guard, I'm not going to say his name because I do know him a little bit. The big guy, he's like, if anybody swings on him, they're done. And I was like, yeah. I was like, I know. I was like, I've trained with him a couple times when he was up my way or whatever. And then me and the short guy started talking about the gym I was at, and within that like 5 seconds of me and him starting to talk about that, the the detox guy I was talking about, the moron, decides to swing on the big guy, hits the guy in the face. The big dude gets hit, and we just caught it on time. Hits the guy. The big guy just like, and then chokes him, like puts him in a choke and has him against the door. Starts lifting this guy off of his feet, like looked like he was David Blaine levitating. Like this guy and I couldn't really see his feet. I could just see him getting like, because the door and like the window was one of those like, you know, jail door windows, like a little tiny like window, like rectangular. And I see him getting lifted up, and I'm like, oh my god! And he was like, yo, call the sheriffs, call the sheriffs. And they start calling the sheriffs or whatever. The nurses came out with like a syringe, and he was like, don't shoot me with that shit, don't shoot me with that shit. Like starts swiping the nurses while this guy's got his hands on his throat, like. And come to find out, I found this out after, the dude that was in there, the guy that got thrown out that I'm telling you about, he had walked into the women's room. One of the I don't know who they were. That's like I said, it was another wing. in residential. Like he managed to slip past somebody that had the door open, went in there. Apparently he had went into one of the women's room while they were like getting changed and like exposed himself or whatever. And like I was just like the gall this guy has to pull that. I'm like, there's no the security was the only good security was this big dude. Like I'm like this is insane. Like and my mind already started to crash from the Zoloft. I didn't realize I was like I haven't even got my Zoloft yet. It's been like a few days now, and I'm like starting to feel angry myself. And I'm like, oh my god, like I can't deal with this. And he's choking this motherfucker. He's choking him. And then the nurse is like, I guess they got him like on his side or whatever, and it didn't knock him out. Like he didn't go. He got calm. Like he was like, yo, what did you just put in me? He's like, I don't want to be calm like this, man. He's like, I ain't asked for this. He's like, I ain't asked for this. He's like, well, you shouldn't be sneaking into women's rooms. And I'm just like, holy shit. So the freaking sheriff show up. They raided not the first thing they did was they raided his room. This guy had like bags of like I don't know what it was. It was like white powder, brown stuff. Because I remember I think it was like because the text like had me with them. I don't know why they were cool with me being with them. Maybe because I was like easygoing. And I saw like in the station where they search people before you go in or whatever. I saw them like empty this guy must have like cut like some sort of a slit in his bag and like hid stuff, and they laid out all this stuff on the table, and there was just bag like I'm looking in there and I'm like holy shit. And the little guy, the tech, was with me, and he was like, dude, he's like, how did nobody catch that? He's like, all those drugs, he's like, somebody could have died. This guy had bags and bags of white, brown, pink stuff. Like I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? And oh my god, I'm just like, this guy's harassing women, exposes himself, goes into their rooms, and also has drugs on them. Then we all come to find out he was trying to sell these women. He was trying to sell them whatever he had, and a couple guys too. Came out and said, "Yeah, he was trying to sell me this," and we didn't want to snitch, but now that the cops are here and everything, we don't know the dude. He's about to leave. Yeah, he was gonna, he was trying to sell it to all of us, and apparently he was using it himself because I don't know, like remember his pupils were tiny when I looked at him, and he was high. I don't know, he was high, but the high never seemed to go away. That's why I was like, this guy's screwed up. Anyway, those are just a couple bad stories. I do have some funny ones that I'm going to bring up next. In my next video, they're going to be funny stories. Um, but these were just two that were just ridiculous. I mean, these things happen in rehab. I ain't gonna lie. Anybody can tell you. Stick by who you don't have to be involved with any of it. You can watch it happen from a distance. You know what I mean? You don't have to be involved, but just know that things do happen. Your anxiety might spike because of it. Stick by the people that are cool with you, and nothing should go wrong. Anyway, part two, I'm gonna make it, and we'll have some funny videos for you guys because I do remember some funny things that happened in rehab and some good things. I'm gonna funny, and then we're gonna have uplifting, positive things. So right now, those were just a couple out of the more negative stories. If you guys want to hear more scary, freaky ones, I can tell you them because this is all from one place. But I have other bad stories too. So if you want a bad stories part two, let me know down below. If you want, funny ones, let me know if you want that as part two. I want to know from you guys if you want that as part two down below. Let me know. If you want, you know, not funny, but then uplifting and positive that will make you a little less nervous to go. I'll make that as a part three. I'll just do all those three in a row. But if you want more bad ones and more screwed up ones, let me know. I'll make that as a part two. Um, if not, I'll jump right to the funny and then the uplifting. So just let me know down below, guys. I've got more stories to tell, trust me. And if you want stories from my days out when I was using, I've got some stories too, and I've got some funny ones too. You know, funny ones, bad ones, all types of freaking stories. But yeah, so some story time for you guys. But I do have more stories, so comment down below. Let me know what kind of stories in terms of good, bad, funny, uplifting you want down below. But as of right now, I think I'm going to stick with my timeline of how I'm going to do this. But yeah, this was just part one. So be prepared, be prepared for more stories because I've got some more coming for you. All right, peace out.